Hey YouTube, I'm Brad Browning. If you're new to my channel, welcome, and congratulations because you found the #1 resource for breakup advice videos. For over a decade, I've helped people like you undo their breakups. In fact, I think at this point I've helped a little over 100,000 clients from 131 countries to get back together with their ex and start a new lasting relationship. Now, this video is going to be about meeting up with your ex. When to suggest an in-person meetup, how to go about setting one up, and how to act when you do get together with your ex in person. Now, this is something you really want to get right if you're trying to win back an ex, because trying to set up an in-person meetup too soon can really backfire, and it can really hurt your chances of success. So this video is going to help you avoid that mistake and make sure that any meetings with your ex go smoothly and help you get them back into your arms for good. Now, before I begin though, I realize that a few of you watching this video may have ended up here by accident. You know, perhaps when you stumbled upon this video, you were actually looking for videos of cats standing up and walking around on their hind legs. And I never like to disappoint any of my YouTube viewers, so... All right, great. Now that we've got this cats out of the way, let's talk about when you should meet up with your ex if you want him or her back. First, be aware that in my X Factor program, which is a comprehensive guide covering the full process of winning back your ex, the program is designed around what I call the 3R system: recovery, rekindling, and reattraction. And the third phase, reattraction, is where you set up one or more in-person meetups with your ex in order to flirt, to rebuild a sexual emotional connection, and to show him or her how awesome you are and what a mistake it was to break up. But before you pick up your phone and you start texting your ex to ask if they'll meet you for a drink later or whatever, stop. Please don't meet up with your ex until you've completed the first two phases, recovery and rekindling. These first two steps are really necessary in order to set the stage for your in-person meetup, and they're going to make sure that your ex says yes when you do actually bring up the idea of hanging out. Now, you must, and let me stress that again, you must complete those two phases first before you even think about seeing your ex in person. At the very least, you need to reset your ex's perception of you by helping him or her to forget about the bad parts of your relationship and focus on the happy and nostalgic memories. You also need to make sure that your ex is in what I call an emotional neutral state. Now, there's a lot more in-depth information on these initial two steps in the full video on my website, breakupbrad.com. So I do recommend you check that out as soon as this video is over. Again, www.breakupbrad.com is the URL. And you really do need to make sure that you've set the stage right by using the tactics that I talk about in that video before you set up any kind of date with your ex. Okay, now let's skip ahead in time here and assume that you've completed these necessary initial steps. Now, for most people, this is going to happen about a month or so after you start using my 3R system. And at this point, you and your ex are going to have been exchanging texts regularly. You'll be back on friendly terms, and your ex isn't going to be suspicious about your motives. So now it's time to arrange an in-person meeting. You know, maybe you have already seen your ex at school or at work, but those are different encounters. This meeting that I'm talking about is quite different than those because it's an intentional one-on-one encounter where you'll be ready in advance to make your ex laugh, to share the latest gossip, reminisce about inside jokes, and hopefully, if things go well, do some serious flirting. Ideally, you want to go for coffee or for a drink at a restaurant, something along those lines. You really need to pick somewhere that will make your ex think that they're not going to be trapped into a 3-hour serious talk. So you want to pitch this meetup as a casual 20-minute meeting just to catch up and share some laughs. Definitely do not call it a date, and don't act like you care whether the actual meeting happens or not. And always have a specific excuse for why you want to meet with your ex. So for example, don't just say something like, "Hey, how are you? We should catch up. Let's go for coffee at that shop on Elm Street next week." No, that's a fail. Instead, say something like, "Hey, I'm finally planning that trip to New Zealand. Since you've been there recently, I'd love to pick your brain about where to go, what to see, etc. Can we meet for coffee next Tuesday or Wednesday after work to chat about that?" Now, when you do something like that, you're giving your ex a real reason why you want to meet up with them. And that's going to reduce his or her suspicions about your true motives, and then you're in the door, right? So make sure you clearly indicate that this is just going to be a fun, brief, and casual coffee date. If your ex says yes when you propose that, done, right? I mean, that's great. And now you can start planning what you're gonna say, how you're gonna act, and generally prepare yourself to make sure that the meetup goes well and gets your ex thinking about you in a romantic light again. If he or she says no when you suggest meeting up, if they make an excuse, or if they just flat out ignore you, well, that sucks. But don't get too emotional about it or lash out or do anything rash. And most importantly, don't show your ex any signs of disappointment. I mean, remember, you're just proposing this meetup for fun and to catch up, nothing more. And that means that if it doesn't pan out, you shouldn't be too upset or try too hard to find an alternate date to meet up with them. In that case, where your ex doesn't respond or just ignores you, your best move is usually to wait 1 or 2 weeks, at least minimum, exchanging a few fun text messages or calls back and forth with your ex. And then once those 2 or 3 weeks are up, try again with a new strategy once you feel that things are going well and that your ex may be more receptive. Don't force it. Be patient, take things slow, and make sure that if you do have to make a second attempt to arrange an in-person meeting, that you come up with a very different reason or different idea. So maybe, for example, you suggest grabbing dinner with a couple of mutual friends this time on the second attempt, rather than the one-on-one coffee date that you tried the first time. Now, a lot of people have trouble figuring out when the time is right to bring up the idea of meeting in person. And I really do get that, because it is really important to get the timing right. If you try too soon, you may end up really hurting your chances. And then if you wait too long, your ex might already be gone for good. So if you're in this position and you can't really figure out if it's safe to suggest an in-person meeting with your ex at this point, I'm happy to learn about your specific situation and offer my guidance to make sure that you don't make any mistakes or do anything too soon. So if you want to work with me one-on-one, visit breakupbrad.com/coaching. And I may or may not have any coaching spots available right now, but you'll be able to see my availability on that page, breakupbrad.com/coaching, as well as a bunch of more details on how you can hire me as your personal breakup coach. All right, now finally, many of you probably are wondering how to act and what to do when you actually do meet your ex in person. Now, unfortunately, that's something I can't really cover in depth in this video, but I'm gonna try to quickly summarize it here in 1 or 2 sentences. Make your ex laugh, bring up shared happy memories, flirt like crazy, and show off your awesome and exciting new life that you've been living since the breakup. Make sure generally that your ex leaves thinking to themselves, wow, did I make a mistake letting such a fun, interesting person walk out of my life? Now, I'll go into more depth on this topic in a future video, or you can get all the tips and strategies that you could ever need to win back your ex by grabbing a copy of my best-selling X Factor program. Visit breakupbrad.com today to register for your risk-free 60-day trial of my program, and you're gonna get full access to the program immediately, as in within 5 minutes from now. All right, now, folks, I have one favor to ask of you. Please, if you liked this video or you learned anything useful from really any of the videos here on my YouTube channel, please click the subscribe button. It really helps me out a lot. I do really appreciate your support, and subscribing will make sure that you get notified of future breakup advice videos like this one as soon as I release them. And don't forget to comment and ask your questions below as well. You guys know that I always try to respond to every single comment on my videos. So what are you waiting for? Share your feedback, ask your questions, and send your hate mail in the comments section right now. All right, guys, thanks a lot for watching. I wish you the very best of luck, and bye for now.